back with Dr. Alan Miner, who is the best chiropractor, and we've got the new issue of Albuquerque the magazine to prove it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I get firsthand advice from the best chiropractor. I'm proud, and so is everyone else. And you know, I want to start the day by, first of all, happy Thanksgiving, belated.
Yeah.
And you know, Christmas is coming, and it's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. You know, we say that for so many people, but really for many, not so much. So how can we manage our stress during this crazy holiday season?
That's a big question.
I know.
And we're going to spend the segment today talking about that. The first thing with stress that I think most people need to realize is you need outlets for it. I mean, in today's world, I don't really foresee most of us can drastically change our lifestyle to cut out stress. It's not going to happen.
It's not realistic.
It's not. So then the question becomes, how do we adapt to it? How do we become more aware of it? And how do we help our body to cope with it? Because we have an inordinate amount of stress. I mean, even compared to 3 years ago, I think our world with smartphones has become so much more chaotic, and that has a direct result on our health. Definitely.
Yeah, I think technology has actually stressed us out more, even though it should really be helping us. And you explained that there's a lot of kind of stresses. Can you explain that to the viewers?
Yeah, there is. And without getting too technical, I'll just simply say there's good stress and there's bad stress. And, you know, anybody who's ever worked out or sometimes had a deadline, I mean, some stress is positive.
It's like
in our
adrenaline
life.
Stress is good, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
But then there's the other side of stress that we tend to think about, which can have negative effects on our body.
Yes. I mean, are there any in particular? I mean, I know a lot of times there are chemical changes that actually occur because we're under stress. So what kind of stresses would involve that, and what are those chemical changes?
Well, when we're under large amounts of stress, our body adapts to it. And the two main hormones that most people have heard of today are cortisol and adrenaline.
Right.
And your body starts releasing those in something called the fight or flight response.
Okay.
When we're under stress, our body changes to adapt to that. And there's certain things that happen. Our heart rate speeds up. Our body takes blood away from things like our digestive tract and puts blood in the muscles because our body's thinking it's got to prepare for a fight or it's going to run.
Tighten up, right?
You do. Things like your blood vessels will actually constrict near the surface of your skin.
Yeah.
There's numerous things that happen in a fight or flight response. But that causes change in your body. Even things like weight loss. Cortisol is something that keeps our body from losing weight, and when we have prolonged stress, it can be very difficult for our body to lose weight because we have this excess cortisol that's floating around our body. So when we have some, I guess just a basic understanding, I'll say, of what's happening with stress, then we can start to put a game plan in place that'll help us to adapt to that.
Well, and you know, stress leads directly to many different causes of death as well. In fact, the 5 leading causes of death are results of stress. So could you explain that?
Yeah, that's a little bit technical, so I'm going to speak simply here, but go back to the fight or flight mechanism. Our body changes to adapt to stress.
Right.
The leading causes of death are things like cancer's top of the list, heart disease is top of the list, strokes, obesity, and we can actually go back to what happens when we have stress hormones in our body floating around excessively. And they are linked to those 5 leading causes of death. For instance, with the heart disease, our blood gets thicker. We're not uptaking things like cholesterol properly when we're under stress, and so that thick blood, we know, leads to things like heart disease and plaquing of arteries, and so
it's not flowing.
No, and that's a result of those stress hormones happening inside of our body. And again, you know, this used to be, we'd have a stress and we'd deal with it. But in today's world, it goes from traffic to work stress to home stress to texting in between, and we don't really get that release that we're supposed to. So you've got to have things in place. And so there's a couple things we talked about, but the one is, the biggie is exercise. You know,
good.
Nothing burns off stress hormone like exercise.
Well, you know, that's the thing. I mean, people always say exercise, it'll release a lot of those, you know, those stressful feelings you're having. And, you know, if we talk about all these problems, we need solutions. So what would you recommend regarding exercise?
Well, what you want to think of as your friend when it comes to stress is another hormone most people have heard of called serotonin.
Right.
And so a lot of people, they're trying to target serotonin when they take antidepressants, for example. But one of the best ways to increase serotonin is movement, is motion, is back to exercise. And serotonin, we call the feel-good hormone. It actually counteracts stress hormone like cortisol and adrenaline. So we
okay.
want to do things to stimulate that serotonin production.
And just movement alone is one of those
Movement
things?
alone does it. Also, having outlets in your life of things that you're passionate about
good point.
is so important. You know, you've got to have those things that you're looking forward to that allow you to check out and just escape and just being present. You know, we have so many things buzzing around us. Sometimes we've got to cut off from the technology. It's okay to turn off your cell phone.
Is it really?
You know, I mean, I think, you know, a lot of times we don't even know how that button works to turn off the phone. And then what we do as chiropractors, the chiropractic adjustment stimulates the frontal cortex of the brain, causing serotonin to be released, which counteracts stress. And it's one of the most common things we hear when people start coming to Health Quest is, you know, I feel better. My frame of mind has changed. And somebody might have come to us for some kind of a health issue, but one of the first things people notice when they get adjusted is their frame of mind changes. And so now their body's going to adapt to stress better.
And they're loosened up everywhere, really. I mean, overall, it makes sense, literally. And you are going to have a lot of people wanting to do this over the holidays for sure. So let's remind our viewers where you're located.
Sure. We're down in the Journal Center off of Masthead and Jefferson near the Pyramid Hotel. And we are opening our next location in Bosque Farms. We should be ready to go at the start of the new year. That's being built as we speak. So
very nice.
We are expanding.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, as always, for such valuable information. We'll see you at the Best of City party. Congratulations again.
Thank you,
on
Nikki.
Best Chiropractor.
Congratulations to you, too.
Thank you so much, and we'll be right back.